Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. Hopefully, you've all had a smashing Saturday and a wonderful weekend so far. This is going to be a bit of a different video. I really want to talk about blockchain, not any one specific crypto, or not really the industry in terms of where we're at. There's a little bit of overlap there, but really, I want to talk about the fact that we are seeing governments around the world actually move to adopt this distributed ledger technology. This is blockchain, and I've been saying this for 5 years now, really is a technological revolution. And just how we're sat over the internet on a PC, these were two prior revolutions that we use seamlessly. We don't even think about, we've got a PC in our pocket in the form of a mobile phone that uses the telecom communication revolution. We drive cars, which is the motoring industry. Blockchain is that. It is very similar to that. We'll talk about Wells Fargo because they are actually involved in this 12-week digital dollar pilot program, this CBDC pilot program. But Wells Fargo, I think, really sum things up well in this article where they talk about the internet of value and how we are currently talking over the internet of information. We're now moving into this internet of value era, and blockchain's a part of that. It's why we're so bullish on the long-term prospects of the crypto market, even though we understand we're in a bear market. We talk about all that every single day on this channel. This is as it's a weekend, really just me throwing some thoughts out there, showing you guys some interesting stuff in regards to the fact that governments around the world are using blockchain, but in my opinion, they're using it more so as a point of control over their citizens than anything else. Maybe this is a little bit tinfoil hatty. I'm not sure, but I'm going to show you a number of things. We're going to first start by playing a clip from Rishi Sunak, essentially talking about central bank digital currencies and what this means. And then we're going to play a clip here from the G20 summit, talking about a carbon footprint that will be digitally tracked. We know that, we see, for example, in China and even in San Marino, we know that VeChain are actually working to create certificates, proof of something that they've been, successfully doing for a while now. I honestly do believe that the world we're moving towards is going to have blockchain at the back of it. So this was really inspired by the New York Fed Bank launches new 12-week CBDC project, the New York Innovation Center, a collaboration between the New York Fed and the Bank of International Settlements, BIS Innovation Hub, is launching a new phase of researching into digital dollar program, according to a Tuesday press release. Citi, Wells Fargo, BNY Mellon, US Bank, PNC Bank, TD Bank, Truist, HSBC and MasterCard are participating in a 12-week proof of concept trial, which will use simulated data in testing environment, the New York Fed said. So this is what's coming ultimately, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving away. There's been a real push to get rid of cash, and we are now moving away to a completely digital system. Most money that's out there is digital already, right? So it's a logical step. This is one thing, and I often share these views with you guys, that has me cautious about Bitcoin. Satoshi's vision is a real one, and it's one that I ultimately believe in. But is that it? And this is almost blasphemy to say as somebody who's so crypto-eccentric. Is that kind of like a Trojan horse? Getting people familiar with blockchain, cryptocurrency, so that this kind of shift to a new monetary system potentially doesn't seem that far-fetched. I don't know. I'm just, like I say, freeballing here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. It would be great to have some sort of a conversation going in the comments about all this sort of stuff. So the project will experiment with the concept of a regulated liability network and allow banks to simulate issuing digital currencies depicting their consumers' funds before it settles through central bank reserves through a distributed ledger. So the one reason I'm so confident in the adoption of blockchain is because it is certainly in the financial world, better and more elite than anything that we have. Certainly when we talk about cross borders and an inclusive world. So it's my opinion that with the use of digital currencies, there's a lot of people out there that are unbanked. There is now the real possibility for those coins to, for those individuals to become banked, for those countries to become banked, because most of them have internet or they have a mobile phone. They just don't have the sort of financial infrastructure. Well, you can almost bypass all that now through the internet. You know, for example, me living in the UK, we've been all dollars for a long time. Because we understand that the dollar is going to be the stronger currency. And I think we're actually going to move into a world where there's a real sort of, you know, how we all champion our favorite crypto. Well, I think there's going to be like a battle between governments to essentially champion their one coin. Or there'll be some sort of a, you know, this stuff sounds almost a little bit far-fetched. However, it's far-fetched for our lifetimes. Where one thing you know, I love to study history, and I've also studied the sort of history of money, the history of credit, the history of finance, and you'll find that it's actually pretty frequent throughout history that we change monetary systems. You know, concepts are often similar, but we use different things, and then this is kind of where I think we're going, just freeballing. Now, I want to put up and play a clip of Rishi Sunak, Central Bank Digital Currencies Explained. So this is something that the G20 and G6 or 7 are moving towards and actively doing. We're seeing it in New York. We are seeing it in the other nations. This is from the G20 summit. I won't play this one under here where it talks about monitoring whether you've taken medicine or not for insurance purposes through a digital chip. That's way off topic. But really, what this video is about is just maybe doing a little bit of forecasting at how the future looks in terms of our new monetary systems. And I actually believe that blockchain is going to be a part of that. And in actual fact, the staple, the fundamental part of it, I really do believe that. This is another article before we get into these clips. Imagine a world without tax returns. You could simply report your blockchain address and a smart contract would automatically determine what you owe and pay it. So, I think if you live in a country where you've got taxes, we all know that taxes are grossly misspent, and not going to go off on a complete rampage on that. But you should pay your taxes, right? You're going to end up in jail for a long time if you don't. There are ways that you can legally minimize your taxes, and you should go and do that. But what they're talking about here is you're automatically getting taxed. So that could be on every transaction, or that could be on, you know, at the end of the year, they'll weigh everything up and just take that from you instantly. This is real financial surveillance that I think is coming. This is the whole real point of this video, is to show you that we are moving to a very surveillance-like world, and I think we're seeing a push, more and more of a push from this. Certainly in the Western nations, we know China are well ahead of the game here. You know, they're launching their digital yuan. They're also piloting, you know, social credit score systems and all this sort of stuff. Is this something that we see potentially in the UK and the US? I think potentially we could. I think that America is going to be a lot more resistance because they have their amendment. And in actual fact, a lot of what's potentially going on here does violate those amendments, and, you know, a line you don't want to cross with Americans. So it's just interesting to sort of speculate on this sort of stuff. You know, this is actually a really good article, essentially saying, you know, this is going to be how governments are going to tax people. And this is it's all linked together, isn't it, guys? You know, we're kind of painting this picture of maybe, you know, how digital assets or blockchain is going to play a role in the future, you know, in our lives. And we can see a real push via governments to move towards it. So let's play this clip. We'll play this other clip. We'll do a little bit more speculation and sort of getting into things, and then we'll wrap the video up.
Today, I'm proud to say that under the UK's presidency, the group of the world's 7 most advanced economies, the G7, is launching a set of public policy principles for retail central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Central bank digital currencies could be a digital version of money, a bit like a digital banknote that could be used alongside physical notes and coins. Unlike most of the digital money people use daily today, it would be issued directly by a central bank, like the Bank of England in the UK. And governments and central banks across the world are working together, looking into what having a digital currency might mean in practice. This includes issues that people care about, such as ensuring users' money would be safe and secure, that it could work with other ways to pay, would be energy efficient and available to everyone.
I just want to stop that there. Isn't it very interesting? You know, never let a good disaster go to waste that we saw the FTX collapse. It's kind of like looking at central bankers and going, how are you that stupid? Looking at Sam Bankman and his weird polyamorous clique. Not a dig, by the way, at anybody that is that way inclined. I don't care. But, you know, it's certainly interesting that there's all this going on. And was FTX a Trojan horse? You know, this is something that I think about. These are things that I think about because I think all of this that's happening right now is very much scalping the landscape of what we're moving towards. And regulations are coming, guys. There's no two ways about that. People have this idea that, and it will live free, but its adoption will be largely hindered by regulation, if that makes sense. So what I'm trying to say there is I think that, okay, yeah, you're absolutely right. Even if the government's banned Bitcoin, they can't ban it. You know, all it takes is a couple of people to be using it, or even one person to be running a node, but they can really hinder its adoption. And I'm not sure they'll do that. I like to think that they're going to be two worlds that they're going to ultimately allow to coexist. They're not just going to completely erase blockchain and what it's trying to do and regulate it out of existence. I do believe in the succession of the cryptos that we have, and certainly the smart contract cryptos I see a lot more uses for. I think all companies are, you know, you kind of want to look at these smart contract like Ethereum, Cardano, ALGORAND, Cosmos, as Polkadot, as these kind of companies that companies will go to build on. Imagine these as like the internet, but if people want to build and use it, then they have to pay and ultimately interact with its economy. You know, the market cap for that, if this is the way we're moving towards, could be absolutely astronomical, and that's what I'm kind of betting on. But let's continue to play the clip.
A potential CBDC could offer businesses and consumers new ways to pay in the future. It's all part of the wider story of digital innovation that has delivered benefits to millions around the world and in the UK. The decision on whether to launch a central bank digital currency is for each country to make, and no G7 jurisdiction has yet made that choice. These decisions raise important questions about the reshaping of our economy, financial systems, and the way in which people interact with money and payments. That's why working together and careful evaluation with our international partners is essential. In the UK, earlier this year, I announced a new joint task force between the Treasury and the Bank of England to look into a potential CBDC as a complement to cash and bank deposits. We're also hearing from firms, technology experts, and others. Under the leadership of the UK, this report today will help support and inform exploration of CBDCs in the G7 and beyond.
So he talks about the kind of coexistence of cash and the traditional sort of world with these CBDCs. I think that's how it will start, and then I think that, and I don't even want to get into the financial system and just how fragile it is. Certainly, you know, that the heat is really getting turned up in the kitchen, given the amount of debt that we have and the interest rates that we're currently bearing. And, you know, this is why we're ultimately a little bit more bearish on markets at the moment. But it will start with essentially just a kind of introduction, and then one will surpass the other. And I think digital currencies are very much a future that we're moving towards. In fact, I'm absolutely certain of it at this point, I believe.
With these principles, the G7 is leading an important step change in the global policy conversation. The report covers a range of important matters, such as financial stability, cyber resilience, energy efficiency, privacy, inclusion, and tackling illicit finance. These factors should all be considered when designing and potentially delivering a CBDC that would be fit for the future. Our shared objective is to ensure that CBDCs would be grounded in long-standing commitments to transparency, the rule of law, and sound economic governance.
The rule of law. So this is a big thing that they're saying, to get rid of all illicit finance. Remember this that we sent you, or we showed you, just talking about how they're gonna, you know, digital currencies could essentially get rid of you having to do your tax returns. That means instant taxation without representation, which is another rabbit hole we can get down. But this is important, and this was another one. I mean, it's not just finance where And we've seen that a lot of blockchains actually, ALGORAND is one, VeChain is another, that have actually been monitoring carbon for companies. If we end up in this situation where we have this sort of one-stop crypto shop, you know, that it won't just stop at regulating your finances. It will continue, in my opinion. And I just want to play this, and then I'm going to wrap the video up as we're kind of getting on a bit now.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
Wow. I mean, it sounds good on the surface when you talk about you know, monitoring your carbon footprint, all doing your bit for the planet. But in actual fact, you know, monitoring what you eat, monitoring where you go, how you get there. I mean, what? This is not something that I'm for at all. At all. So it's just a very interesting time to be alive. And I do honestly believe that we are moving towards a new monetary system, and that blockchain is at the heart of it. And that's really what this video was all about. I would love your thoughts in the comment section, guys. Let me know if I'm just completely out there with this and wrong in your view. But I do truly believe that this is the world that we're moving towards. There's going to be a lot more restrictions in the world of finance, and it's going to ultimately, I think, separate the classes. And middle classes, it might as well be lower class, by the way, guys. They're basically the same class, in my opinion. And then you've got the people who are higher class, so it'll be higher and everybody else. And I think that with these kind of restrictions and surveillances on finance, that this gets really, that gap gets widened. All I've got for you in this video, guys. You enjoyed the content, like, it's always appreciated. So as a comment, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section. See you in the next YouTube video.